we are joined by none other than Misfits Amazing. Amazing, before we begin, I'm a horrible interviewer and I failed to do my research. What's your official title? Is it strategic coach?
It's a strategic coach. Yes.
Okay, I was just trying.
I mean, it's a fancy word for secondary in command. I think that's what it is.
Vice Admiral of Misfits. That's the official title. All right.
Better than being like a 20-star general.
The 7-star analyst.
I can't.
The 6-star general.
6-star Twitter analyst. No. So I wanted to kick this one off. I asked her the first question, and Amazing. When we brought you on, we already kind of prepped you. We're like, it's not necessarily the happiest time to be a Misfits fan. But I'm going to give you a bit of an out here or some room to run. There are several different versions of Misfits that we've seen. It feels like this is probably one of the most volatile teams, one of the most high variance teams. You guys will have games where you'll absolutely smash the Mad Lions, and then you'll come in and lose to a bottom tier team that shall remain nameless. And I guess my question to you is, which one is the real Misfits? Like, what is happening behind scenes? Are you guys is it just that you have one style that you must gravitate towards, and if you don't execute on it, like, you all fall apart? Is it limited there? Or is it just like your main focus is trying to control this variance in playstyle? Like, which Misfits is the real Misfits?
I would like to know too. I think what it is for us is honestly that, like, we have there's just a clash of ideas, and I think that's maybe where the whole issue is stemming from, that we're like so high in variance, is that we're trying to implement the fact that, like, all of our players are really highly aggressive besides Kobe. Like, Kobe is more of a late game AD carry, but every other player really wants to make plays early game, wants to make sure to do something, and it kind of shows in, like, especially Fabi and Resorg's style. So we're trying to support that, but then again, the whole league and the whole LEC is just gravitating more towards the late game style. So suddenly we have to fix that too. And the early aggression is not quite like, you can't quite put it through every single game. So suddenly you have like an issue where certain teams are good enough right now at the bottom of the league to play against a high aggressive style, but we're not good enough yet to actually play a slow and steady style. So we keep having to shift between the two things, between like trying to fix like the late game heavy style and basically become better at early game style in order to support the individuals. So it's a really, really weird conundrum to be in, but that's where we find ourselves in. So
I guess I kind of view it like this. Like, you guys thought you were going out on a night on the town and you have like a banging club outfit on. Like, it's a nice jacket, nice sneakers, but when you show up to the event, everyone else is in black tie. Like, your outfit's still great, but it's just not the right outfit for the right time.
Yeah, I mean, that works. That works. That's a good comparison.
Okay. All right, Frosco. That just feels like a very, like, so when you come in week to week, what are you then focusing on? Because, I mean, then there's this, it feels like a myriad of issues in the sense that you've got, do you ask the players, hey, we're going to change away from this play style that you guys are good at? Do you double down on early game and just be like, we're just going to get so good at this that...
Is it about finding champions that can do both, like play early game aggressive style and then also have scaling? Or, as Dracos is alluding to, are you just trying to teach them how to team fight appropriately and at the right times?
I mean, both questions are pretty good. Like, actually, the question that Dracos just asked is actually the exact same question that we asked ourselves, like, even like a week back, where we're like, are we going to double down on this, or
shouldn't Dracos, you're the coach of Misfits?
Or are we gonna focus more on the late game fix? And I think it is just pretty hard to say. I think what we decided upon, at least like internally, I feel like, and that's, I mean, we'll probably see it this week, is that we're gonna supplement the team with more champions that they can play that have both the scaling and the early game aggression. Like, it's more or less like something basically also on a counter pick basis. So I think like that's something we focus on, and then obviously giving our team just the ability to actually scale and not just lose the game in 20 minutes. Because against Fnatic, like that game, honestly, like if we had like a slightly different comp potentially, we would have slightly executed better. That game would have been won, and maybe would have not gotten mental boo for the next couple games. But I think that's what it's about, like finding that right balance and allowing the players to screw up in game and still have the potential to win, and them not just completely being out if they make one mistake. And I think that's what we've been trying to do.
I mean, this sounds like a pretty difficult problem to solve so late in the split. I mean, you guys have 5 games left. So like what right now is ambition? What are the expectations for this roster? Because it's been, I mean, you're tied for 8th right now with Vitality. I mean, just 2 weeks ago you were in 3rd place, so like obviously the league is very close. You could jump right back up with a few good performances. But what specifically is the focus? Is it just we want to get better? Is it we want to make playoffs? Is it are you still holding out hope for the World's Dream? Like what is the vision that the team is kind of sold on right now? I guess is what I want to know.
I mean, we want to get better for sure, obviously. But I mean, it's still playoffs and words in the end, because the thing is that if you aim for anything below that or anything other than that, like, what are you actually aiming for? Like, it's if you think about it, like every single team may have long-term aspirations, but the players, they can say whatever they want. The staff can say whatever they want. If they are out after 9 weeks, they don't like their life. So it is what it is.
In terms of like the roster then and kind of the goals, I think what's interesting about Misfits is that you guys have gone through so many different rebuilds, and I'm curious kind of like not necessarily what the goal is in terms of the achievement, because obviously every team's going to be like, we want to go to Worlds, but kind of what the goal is in terms of the roster style. Do you guys want to play, is this about Febiven kind of training up, or Febiven and Kabe as your veterans, like training up these young rookies? Is this about turning Razork into like the next great jungle prodigy? Like, what do you guys have any tangible goals in terms of like what you want the roster to become?
I mean, we definitely want everyone that has been a rookie, obviously, this year to improve as much as they can. But I wouldn't say it's like a situation where we force Fabi or Kobe to build up the other people. I think it's more about them also like creating some kind of other experience, and where they actually understand, hey, we have to actually become better leaders or whatever it is. So it's like there's so many different goals for every individual, I'd say, that I guess it's hard to keep track of. But I think the veterans like create some leadership for them, allow them to become more self-sustaining, I suppose. And for the rookies, the same thing, I guess, because all of our players have the same kind of I'd say like difficulty in actually leading, and I think that's what we're trying to create for them.
Like, obviously I don't want you to give away any strategy or weaknesses or anything, but do you mind sharing some of the goals for like the individual players, like, and kind of what those look like if it's leadership for like your veterans, if it's like expanding champion pools for certain players, or communicating more for certain players, or things like that?
I mean, I would say for Ivan, for Razork, it's always been the most clear goal, because I'm a jungle main, I suppose. So for me, it's really easy to kind of keep track of it. And for me, it's just like, I've always defended the idea that a jungler should be self-sustaining in the way that he is able to lead the early game, he's able to communicate, and he's able to basically carry his team through that, and he doesn't have to be reliant on certain champions in order to carry the game. So for my career, when I think about it too, it's been like something where I've obviously gravitated from Lee to later on Skarner and Sejuani to a certain extent, and I want to kind of create that variety for him. So give him flexibility, don't have him rely on like just make him plays 24/7, but actually playing the macro game and succeeding through that. So for him, it's really clear. And then for other people, like for Fabi and for Fabi, I guess because we've been working with him for the whole year, it's been something where Fabi is a really interesting character in a good way, where he has both the ambition to be the very best, he has the work ethic to be the very best, but he sometimes lacks the soft skills to actually become like a leader in the moment. So he has the right mindset, but he just doesn't have the right, the right tools to work with. So for him, it's something where we're trying to help him like basically become a more vocal leader, where he's not just the emotional like roller coaster that he sometimes is, where I guess I'm similar too, that he's actually more I guess like more on the same level, more consistent about what he's doing. And I think that's what we're trying to create for him.
That's really cool insight. Thank you. Because I think that like that's always something that I've heard reflected a lot, is like the work ethic and the, Febiven, and like you see it a lot in solo queue games, and you see it a lot in the lane matchups, but
interviews as well.
And his interviews as well. And you don't always get to see it in the mid to late game. And when you put it in that kind of context, it makes a lot of sense. I think the last thing that I want to talk about is kind of like the fan favorite Misfits question of the week. Is that like people love criticizing DOS right now. He's had a ton of criticism thrown his way, some of it justified, some of it not. But I want to know how much, if any, of this criticism that's coming his way is valid, and if you can maybe share a little bit of insight on the DOS versus Denyk discussion, on like why this is the guy that you're choosing to go with, or what DOS brings to the table that makes him so good. Obviously, I don't want you to be in a situation where you have to like called Denyk a shitter to build DOS up, right? But like, can you talk to us a little bit about the DOS situation?
All right. So for DOS vs Denyk, we decided to have trials in the beginning of the split and actually see how the pairings work between DOS and Kobe and Denyk and Kobe. And it was also about the team interaction. Like, so what we felt last split is that we actually kind of lacked a bit of laning phase strength. So that may have been because of B-Boy, because B-Boy wasn't bad in lane, but he had kind of an issue communicating what he wants for lane, and we thought that Kobe would kind of bring this. So the only thing we wanted to supplement him is with the best possible laner in that regard. So DOS kind of beat out Denyk a bit. I guess what we didn't keep track of, and I think that's maybe that's probably our mistake. I'm going to be honest here. That's a mistake on the coaching staff. That's what it is. We can't blame the players for that. Is how the shot calling changed when B-Boy and DOS B-Boy was out and Denyk was out. So the shot calling systems kind of changed and it became more reliant on Razork. And the thing is that if you put so much pressure on a rookie, it's really, really tough for him to follow up, and like because he has to keep track of so many things. So we kind of honestly put too much pressure on him to perform. By removing Denyk, and it's kind of like something that's a conundrum we find ourselves in, where like laning strength versus like the whole like overall map structure that we want to create. And I think that's where I guess the criticism on DOS is kind of valid, where he doesn't have the experience yet to be a main shot caller or a secondary shot caller even, because he's never been put in that situation. So I think that's the criticism where I think the fans, what they see is like him getting caught. And I think what we see is like him just not knowing in certain situations what to do, which is something I can't expect of him anyway, because he's a rookie and it's our responsibility in that case to create it for him. And if we don't do that, then it's on us that we failed.
So is this now about trying to train up Febiven, if you will, like with some of those soft leadership skills to kind of fill in that void to help the bridge between Razork and DOS?
I mean, yeah, that's basically why we're putting more onus on Febiven, because we respect him as a veteran. Person within the organization, where he does a lot of work in terms of work ethic. He shows like what people have to do in terms of being a professional. But the soft skills basically later in the game are basically what's lacking. And I think that's where he has to come in and show a bit more presence. And honestly, recently he has been showing a lot more presence, which I'm happy with. But yeah, the DOS and Denyk discussion has always been open, just so you know. So it's not like that we're like, okay, DOS, you're like forever the guy that we're gonna like lean on and like force you to be that guy. There's always gonna be like a situation where him and Denyk are gonna compete for the spot. So for the fans at least, like we're always trying to like create the right approach to the roster decisions. And it's not just me, obviously, because it's 102 and the GM too. So all of us are always trying to make the right decision every single week to make the right call for the team. So we're not just leaning on the players, but we're also leaning on our own expertise to actually know what we're doing. Hopefully we do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for giving that context, Maurice, because I was kind of like, it was kind of what's the term? Like a broken record, just playing the same thing over and over every week. People just like going after DOS, but it's good to know that it's something that you guys like are reevaluating. Thank you for kind of like giving us that insight into what's going on and also the trade-off between the two players. This week, final question. I'll give you the same final question that I gave to Crownshot earlier.
Oh,
you play SK, you play Crowny.
Yeah.
You also play XL.
XL.
Now, at the start of the season, I would have said that this is a very easy schedule for you, but obviously, difficult past few weeks maybe has me asking questions. But is this the Misfits 2-0?
I mean, it's pretty much a must-win against XL, because chances are, if Misfits do have a shot at playoffs, you guys will want to be competing against XL for the last spot, and then you can hold the head-to-head. So as long as you keep your score tied with them, then you'd win on head-to-head. Whereas I think SK are too far ahead. So. I guess my actual question off
No,
of
it's not. There's no actual question. I just need him to go.
No.
Yes, don't Misfits Gaming will 2-0, and the fans could be like, "Yay, Misfits Gaming!"
But I don't think they need to.
Look,
I actually think they just need to beat XL.
We do. No, we do. I mean, I don't want to put pressure on the players. I don't want to put pressure on myself. But honestly, if we don't feel the pressure right now, like we don't have the intrinsic motivation necessary. So it better be a 2-0. Like, I think that's what I would say for ourselves. I understand that SK is like they're pretty good right now. But I do think that there's still certain flaws that they have within their game. Like, there's nothing where I'm like, okay, these players are really, really outstanding in every single role.
Top lane.
They're decent. they're not the best. They're decent, and I would say that if we want to make it to Worlds, if we want to make it to playoffs, like we have to beat a team like that. And if we can't do that, then yeah, it is what it is, and then we can reevaluate next year, I guess.
Okay, well,
I
kind of wanted to end on the up, and then you brought it back down to like, yeah, I guess if we can, it's all just gonna be a sad pity party.
I mean, no, we keep it positive. We keep it positive.
Right. Keep it positive. It's gonna be a 2-0. It's a must 2-0 week for them. The pressure's on for Misfits. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Maurice, for coming on to the show. Thank you for the insight into the team. Excited to see what you can do this weekend. Can't predict either side with Misfits or SK because we had both guests on this week. But I hope you smash Excel because they're not here this week, so screw them. Good luck, Maurice.
Thank you.